Tickets for next June's 118th U.S. Open at iconic Shinnecock Hills are now on sale. Visit usopen.com and click the icon for tickets for more information. Future sites of the U.S. Open through 2026. You see Shinnecock Hills twice on that list. 2018 and 2026. This is a who's who of courses around the country. Oakmont hosting once again in 2025, hosted last year, of course. I believe that'll be the 10th time that Oakmont will have hosted the U.S. Open.
What a list. Wish I was 25 again. Although I'd have to go to the gym a lot.
Jay, yesterday Rickie Fowler had, I think it was 49 yards into this green.
Yeah, today he's got 87 yards, a perfect line, just a little flat area where his 3-woods come to rest.
How about Rahm?
Jon's found the rough on the right side. He's got a severe downhill lie, and it's all going to be about how that ball comes out of that lie. It's possible it could come out good. If it comes out fast, he's going to be playing his third from over the back left edge.
Rickie can see just the flag, or can he see the whole thing?
Yeah, he can. He can't actually see the putting surface, but he can definitely see a good portion of the flagstick.
Looks like they're going to wait till the grouping ahead of them tees off the third. They're in no rush. It's going to take a little while this afternoon.
And it's as calm as can be. I mean, it is. There's just no wind at all blowing down in this little valley here on number 2.
That's Tommy Fleetwood teeing off at the third hole.
It's going to be interesting to watch Rickie today. He's had a night to sleep on the lead, and it'll be interesting to watch his demeanor, his routines, and see if he speeds up any. That's usually the first sign of nerves and anxiousness.
Well, I think he's got those nerves under control right now.
Maybe it's me that's anxious.
He'll have that for a birdie.
No, Jon Rahm's in the rough. He's not in the fescue, but he's in the second cut of the rough. His ball is sitting okay, 64 yards, severe downhill lie. That's just one of those shots. It's just so difficult to figure out. Is this thing going to stay in the air? Or is it going to kind of fall out of the air and tumble with a bunch of overspin? I expect this ball to be trying to land maybe a step or two on the green. Use some of the hill of the green to slow it down.
He went low. Not going to get up.
I think he's fortunate that that ball stayed there. That is quite a bit of slope, and when he hit it, I really didn't expect to see him play that kind of European tour type shot.
You know, we talked about his demeanor.
I'm going to contend that he is so not used to being 4 or 5 over par, it's almost shocking to his system. He's not used to hitting bad shots. So this is a new experience for Jon. And he doesn't like it.
Wears his emotions on his sleeve.
He's used to being on or near the lead.
Hideki's ball's just stopped about 7 or 8 steps off the front of this green. This ball's come in a little about shoulder height, 2 bounces and stop right next to it.
It's about the same shot he had yesterday, except the pins.
Look at this.
The whole location's easier.
Much.
They both failed to get up and down yesterday from right in front of the green. So He's left with a little 6-foot left to righter to have a textbook start. Birdie, birdie. That's how you'd want to do it here at Erin Hills. They intentionally, the architects gave you a couple opportunities here right out of the box. Not unlike a lot of other great courses that start off relatively easy.
Get your feet wet, and then, ha-ha, here comes the teeth of the course.
Jon Rahm's faced with about a 66, 67-foot putt. He's got to go up. Oh, the first half of this putt is uphill. And then once he gets to the center of the green, it's going to level out a little bit. And when it gets to within about 3 or 4 feet of the flagstick, it's going to go away from him. So it'll require all of his skill to hit this putt with the right speed, especially judging the fringe.
Still have a tester to try to save this par and avoid going bogey to open up his second round.
Mark, do you think that at any point in time his caddy says to him, hey, let's get a ball in the fairway? You know, let's play some stress-free holes. Let's get a little rhythm to our round going. It just looks like he's trying to force every single swing that he makes.
Yes, you could do that. I mean, but if you're driving it bad, the only way you can change that is to keep your both hands on that head cover, that driver head cover. Don't let it come off. I mean, you know, make him hit 3-wood a couple times. And if that doesn't work, you might be looking for other work.
Well, here's Fowler for birdie.
8-footer, perfect position, uphill, not much break.
A birdie here yesterday, a birdie here today. And he is back in the lead by himself at 8 under par.
And more importantly, a rock-solid stroke on yet, another 8-foot putt, just right in the middle.
I can't say how important it is with a lead, your nerves, to get off to such a rock-solid start, too. He hit the fairway, he hit the first green, he had not as good a wedge as he'd like, but he came right under the second, stayed with his plan, executed it beautifully. Nice birdie.
I suspect he's not as nervous as we think he might be. Just an inkling.
Rahm.
That was
good par-saving putt.
Sure was. Now we see if Hideki can show us some good rhythm on these putts today. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not saying something that's not his norm, just let's have his good norm. Maybe even better than his norm.
Here's Hideki, just a bit over 4 feet, nothing to this putt. Looking for the birdie finish start.
Bam. Good tee shot.
Nice pitch. They both got it past the hole, but actually that's what's kind of unusual. They both had uphill putts by playing it past the hole.
And because of that good birdie start, Matsuyama is even for the championship, 8 shots behind that man, Rickie Fowler, who is all alone at 8 under. As we go to number 3.
Today, this beautiful third hole, just a soft dogleg slope. Actually, the hole turns with the slope. It's playing at 515 yards. Yesterday's hole location was front right. Today, it is back left. There's a little shelf on the back left where this hole is located today. This hole's proven to be a little more difficult than yesterday, as we suspected. Although now that the wind has died considerably from even this morning, we were 10 to 15 miles an hour this morning. Adam Scott, our group this morning, they all had 220 plus yards to the hole here. I suspect they can bomb it on down there today and have 5 and 6 irons in. The drive line is self-explanatory. It's between the bunkers in the middle of the fairway. There's a little bit of a sideboard on the right side, but you don't want to be through the fairway. Right there, just left of the TV tower, camera tower.
Well, Hideki likes it again. Why wouldn't he?
And that's considerably further than they were driving it this morning. It's like perfect golf weather out there, Jay. 80 degrees, 2-mile-an-hour breeze.
Chamber of Commerce stuff. It is just absolutely beautiful. Work on your tan a little bit. There's an occasional breeze just to cool you down, and watch the best players in the world get after this beautiful golf course. If Hideki maintains this sort of rhythm today, we are going to see some prodigious blasts off of his driver and his tee shots.
Well, there's little Rickie about 5 steps behind him. Perfect drive.
Now, can that par-saving putt just help Jon Rahm?
He's just got to find the swing key that's going to work. And I'm sure he's got something he's worked on. And I suspect he'll figure it out here the next few holes. That's just
looked to be left.
It's long.
I think it's right there in that rough by the bunkers.
Well, that might be better than in the bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got something he's worked on. Let's hopefully he can get it figured out here and use it.
Rickie Fowler, he was on in his first round, and so far he's got 1 birdie in his first 2 holes here in his second round, and he's got a 1-shot lead. Back here at Erin Hills, the 117th U.S. Open Championship. Second round coverage here of this featured group of the leader, Rickie Fowler, 8 under par. Hideki Matsuyama, after back-to-back birdies on the opening 2 holes, even. Jon Rahm is at +5 for the championship. And guys, right now, just the way that Fowler has come out here through the first 3 holes, the way he approached number 1, number 2, going 3-wood off the tee. It reminds me of watching Tiger Woods back in the 2006 British Open, and he would hit a lot of irons off tees. And he hit, I think, 86% of the fairways over the course of that week. He had a plan, and he never deviated from that plan. So far, that seems to be what Rickie's doing. He's never trying to overpower this course. He's had a plan, and he's saying, you know what, I'm sticking to it.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think every person in this field has got a plan, but I mean, a plan isn't worth a hoot unless you can execute. And you know, everybody knows where to go and where not to go, but you know, sometimes those hooks just creep in, and you know, you get yourself out of position. I mean, Jon Rahm has been textbook. I mean, he hasn't been able to attack the golf course at all because he's not being able to play from the short stuff. And Rickie has just been on cruise control.
I agree with you 100%, Justin. I think he's got a game plan. I think one of the biggest test is going to be when he has his first hiccup. First, you know, mental, emotional challenge. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. Otherwise, he's going to win by 10. But when it happens, it's going to be how he handles it, and does it last? You know, does it? You know, so that's the test. That's the test of being in majors, and even winning regular golf tournaments. They're so hard to win now. It's that when things aren't going your way, or one bad shot, one real bad break, one bad bounce, how do you react?
You know, since we have a little time right now, this might be a neat opportunity to talk. Was it about 2 years ago when a survey came out and Rickie Fowler was said to be the most overrated player on the PGA Tour? And you know what he did shortly after that? He had one of the best finishes at the TPC and won the TPC in a playoff. Some of the best clutch golf coming down the stretch I may have ever seen. And you just wonder if things like that have helped motivate him along the way, because one of the things that happens about the PGA Tour, you can make a lot of money without winning out here. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to just kind of say, yeah, I don't want to go to the range. I don't want to go to the gym. Look at my bank account. I'm good. And he has not chosen to look at it that way, and I'm really impressed by that.
Up ahead, on the green.
Yeah, I mean, it's stalked to a little off.
The group of Brian Harmon, Tommy Fleetwood, Bud Cauley. I believe that was Bud Cauley who just sunk the putt.
You with me on that?
Jay, you're making a good point down there. I think Rickie's got some good goals set now. Not that he didn't have them before, but what do we got? He is ready to go, Parts.
Perfect lie. 7-iron from 190 yards.
Doesn't sound like enough club to me, but that's okay. Wasn't enough club. Smart play, the way he's putting. He'll two-putt that. That didn't look like enough. I was going to make a point earlier, too, about the wind going away. You know, all these practice rounds, they've had 15, 20 mile an hour, 14 mile an hour. They had it yesterday. It's almost eerie when there's not much wind.
It sure takes a lot of the sting out of these blind shots out here, Mark. 185 from the left rough. Got a very fortunate break to have a perfect lie. And this is an 8-iron for Jon Rahm.
Playing a little controlled flyer, I'm assuming. And the ball's actually up the green. Somewhere near the green. Let's go over to Hideki.
Same yardage, 185. He's from the middle of the fairway. Not a breath of wind blowing at all. Just the uphillness of this hole. Here's a 7-iron for Hideki as well.
That needs to hold on.
That's the first miss hit we've seen from Matsuyama.
That's doable, but that's another one of those shots we've talked about ad nauseum yesterday. The guys have multiple choices: putt, chip, flop, bank. They can do about 4 or 5 things from where that ball finished. Most of these guys have chosen, they've got it down to a couple of options they're going to use. But my point about the lack of wind is that now when the trouble begins, or you have problems, it is 100% on you.
Can't blame anything.
Right. There's nothing to blame anymore. The fairways are perfect. The greens are great. They know the golf course is fair, and now don't even have any wind to blame. So there's going to be great scores. It's actually a bigger test probably for these guys actually at the top of the leaderboard, which right now that's Rickie Fowler.
Well, let's take a look back at the day for Rickie Fowler yesterday and just how beautiful it really was to watch.
65 highlights. 65 highlights on this reel.
This was at the 11th hole. His approach shot just stuck it. And 12.
After a great second shot from the intermediate cut. Well controlled.
The par 5, 14th.
Chose to play it as a 3-shotter. Paid dividends.
This was that 49-yard. Just pinched that wedge in.
49 yards of perfection. And deserved congratulatory handshakes from his grouping yesterday. Jay, we don't know where Jon's ball ended up.
Yeah, Jon's ball's just on the front edge of the green, a little bit closer than Rickie's, and the biggest thing to determine is Rickie further away than Matsuyama here, and I think Matsuyama's going to play first. His ball has just gone, 6 steps, 7 steps left of the green, uphill lie, very little elevation change. This is a makeable shot. This is as easy as it gets here. U.S. Open conditions, perfect greens, perfect turf. He's going to take dead aim at this.
Almost like you're not supposed to have a shot this easy in the U.S. Open with a miscue like this. That's a pretty straightforward pitch, folks. Just not supposed to be that easy in the U.S. Open.
Think about it. He's in the middle of the fairway, and he pull hooks his 7-iron, and it's I don't know, 18 yards left of his intended target, and he's got a perfect lie uphill, and I mean that's a birdie chip right there. That was absolutely holeable.
Well, he doesn't make a birdie, but he does tap in for a par.
His shot was multiple times easier than what Rickie and Jon Rahm have from on the putting surface. Rickie's got just over 50 feet. This ball's got to swing almost 3 feet from right to left, and he's got to deal with the spine that covers this middle left portion of the green that's going to throw his ball to the right.
Well, Adam Scott two-putted this morning. And if he can, I know he can.
Judged so nicely.
Game plan, chose not to over-challenge that back hole location. A relatively stress-free par. I think the next tee shot's going to be a little bit telling for Rickie. You know, no wind. If we're going with a conservative game plan, it's going to be the 2-iron. Because the hole is actually about the same length today.
Jon Rahm learned everything he needed to know from watching Rickie's putt. He's just barely inside it, and he's got the exact same thing except from about a foot or two closer.
I think he was playing for that second shot to shoot a little bit.
It's got to slow down.
He absolutely did, Mark. He had to protect. If he tries to fly that ball, 5 or 8 yards short of the flagstick like a normal shot, and that thing jumps, he's back in the tower.
Yep. Hopefully Jon can settle in here. Start making these in the middle, drive it in the fairway, and get on a run. We know he's capable, for sure.
He's left himself with a slightly downhill left to righter, not my favorite, just about 5.5 feet. But this ball needs to be hit outside the left edge.
There's the worm cam.
Yeah, good putt.
Good putt. Back-to-back. Good par putts for Rahm. Notice the Arizona State Sun Devil yardage book cover.
I missed that. Just trying not to look in that direction. Now, Rickie's going to be, I'm not going to say overly careful, but he's going to pay attention to all these, as he should. Get that line right.
Lock into that routine, 2.5 feet, just right of center.
Just keep pouring them right down the middle. Split the goalposts. Just like that.
Good 2-putt for Fowler. Keeps that scorecard clean. A two-way tie for second with Paul Casey and Brooks Koepka, one shot back of Rickie Fowler. But these guys make the walk up the hill to the fourth tee. Today, playing 456 yards. And you've said it before, and we'll say it again. This is the one where you say, it's the first tee where you think the fescue comes into play on the tee shot.
It really does. You can actually, because this tee's elevated, you can see it down both sides. Although with zero wind, it's a pretty wild shot to get into the high stuff. This is a plateau green. Today, at 456 yards, they've actually chosen to put this hole location in really the back center of the green. It brings that back area, which is very steep. The ball will actually, if it crests the hill in the back, past the hole, it'll actually go all the way down into the heavy rough. This is where Rickie hit 2-iron, 5-iron yesterday. Two brilliant shots into the breeze. For some reason, only reason I can come up with, this hole's playing the toughest on the golf course is because it's the first one they're seeing with the high rough on both sides. And there's been lots of balls left and right. It has been left to right into the wind, which is the right-handed golfer's least favorite wind direction. I'm sure I could get Jay to agree with that.
100%. I have my favorite wind direction right now. It's absolutely zero out here. Not a breath.
I like it strong at my back. With nothing in front, nothing in back. Strong behind me. Make you feel strong. This is an aggressive play. He's an aggressive player. It's only about 285 yards down there to the right fairway bunker, which is really the only obstacle other than the big rough.
He might be looking at the 319-yard carry on because it's downhill.
Well, it's three. Okay, it's 356 yards to those bunkers that are straight down the middle of the fairway. So he feels like he's going to be short of those. And again, if he hits a straight drive, it's a birdie hole. No question about it. There's several holes like that here at Erin Hills. If you take on the challenge and hit a good drive, you'll actually turn it into a birdie hole.
Asking for it to get down.
And they hit it so far here, our cameraman cannot even find it, but it's right there in the middle of the fairway.
I'm often yelling for it to get down, right in the fairway.
And as I suspected,
sticking to his plan. Not worrying about what his other playing partners are doing.
I mean, he knows he can hit driver sandwich here. Driver wedge, driver gap wedge. He's not going to have a 5-iron in today, but he just increases odds of hitting the short grass by probably 30%. I mean, he's just swinging so good, he's not going to I won't say that's as close to missing the fairway as he could ever come with an iron. That's probably 6-7 iron left.
Rahm got a break off the tee on 3.
He needs to start making his own breaks. He's set up for a big cut here. He just can't.
Another one at him.
Well, they'll find out.
Provisional, same ball.
But he wants to play a provisional.
That is way left.
Check that. Might not find that. But he's set up for a big cut, and he's just whatever.
Hitting a provisional, he told his caddy, Adam Hayes, give me another one, Adam.
And he's informed one of his playing partners. You see how far left he's aimed? He's got to take that club head that way if he wants it to go right, like that. That's what he wanted. And that's the 356-yard bunker. So hopefully they'll find that golf ball over there. You'll have some kind of play.
Just got to be so frustrating if you're Jon Rahm. We'll see if they can find his first ball. Otherwise, we know he's got his second one in play deep down the middle of the fairway. Fowler, one-shot lead here in the second round. Umbrellas are out, not for rain, but for shade. Rickie Fowler off the tee, chose a 2-iron, so he's back. How about that? You don't see it very often, a 13-shot discrepancy in a group.
You see it in my groups. But not out here, you're right.
But let's get a quick update before we look at, well, Rickie's going to hit here. Jay, do you know what Rickie has?
He's got 192 yards, 6-iron from just inside the left fairway cut. No wind whatsoever. The flagstick is completely laying down. The way he's swinging, if he's aiming at the flagstick, it's going to go there.
We're going to run out of things to say, like great shot, excellent, perfect. I mean, that was the ever so slightly conservative line as well. It kind of took going over out of play.
Smart.
Well, as Jay said, if you can't execute, you best laid plans, you know, that's saying. You better be able to execute them.
So we see Jon Rahm. They found his ball.
He's actually hit it wide of the fescue. He's hit it probably 40, maybe 45 yards left of this fourth fairway, and less rough than, you know, found about 6-8 feet off the fairway. He's got about 120 yards and a decent lie, and he could definitely put this ball on the green.
I'm sure the problem here, Jay, is it coming out hot. It can, long is wrong here. Long is definitely wrong, so.
No question about that, Mark. He's only got about, I'd say just under 100 yards to the front edge.
Again, this rough they're not used to playing out of. It's only occasionally do they see this, so it's pretty tough for them to even guess how far the ball's going to go, how much it's going to jump, how little it's going to spin. They're letting Hideki go.
119 yards, perfect lie, gap wedge.
That's a great.
No wind at all.
It's a good number for a gap wedge.
For who?
For Hideki Matsuyama. That's who.
That's a great leave.
He's got a look in his eye right now, Mark. He is absolutely hunting out here. He's got a heavier step. It's more purposeful. And he didn't have this look at all yesterday. This is going to be fun to watch him today.
Now Rahm.
Guessing on the jump.
Wow. Wow.
Pretty good guess right there.
Wow.
That might be that set of starter cables he needed.
That may be one of the better shots of the championship from where he was.
He needed a jump start. He's been hooked up for a while. It's just a matter of somebody making sure the battery had some juice in it. He needs some juice. He's the type of player who needs the juice.
Mm-hmm.
He also needs a swing thought that works, which was his provisional. Whatever he did on that provisional, he's got to ingrain that and actually do it. So,
Mark, I know it's not that relevant, and Coach, not that relevant, but his provisional ball was 2 yards short of that 356-yard bunker in the center of the fairway.
And that was just a little sawed-off cut.
Yeah.
That was not his go and draw, which he does possess.
This is what the guy can do just this year. He won the Farmers Insurance, a couple of seconds, a third, a fourth, and a fifth.
Let's not forget he wasn't even getting a paycheck at this tournament last year.
Right.
So his professional one-year debut has been remarkable.
7 top 10s and 15 events played this year.
There's another little secret I'll let you in on. He wants to be number one.
Oh, yeah.
Rest of the story? Probably will be at some point. Relatively self-taught. His father taught him the game. He's got a teacher at home and introduced him to the game. We'll deal with that later. Let's watch our leader give it a run from about 23 feet, Jay.
That's exactly right. This ball's going to be moving about 1.5 feet left to right.
Just get the speed right, which is redundant. We say it because he does it. Very good speed.
And I said with his approach shot that if he chooses to aim at the flagstick, it's going to go there because he's on this plan of his, and I'm sure he wasn't aiming at that flagstick. He was aiming right where he hit that ball, dead center of this fourth green.
He's going to move his mark for Matsuyama. Hideki Matsuyama looking for his third birdie in the first 4 holes.
You know what he's ranked in the world?
Matsuyama?
Yes, sir.
Number 4.
He didn't get there by accident. This man can play some golf. He's got a 9-foot putt straight up the hill. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, when he's even partially on, there probably aren't 2 or 3 better iron players in the game. So we didn't see the normal Hideki yesterday, and I think you're going to see it on display today, especially if he keeps it in the fairway. He is a phenomenal iron player.
Just 25 years old.
This is the only stat that he doesn't own. So when he's on, he's on.
He's on his third birdie in the first 4 holes, and he's in red numbers for the championship.
That didn't take long. Make that line on his ball just keep rolling over and over and over.
It's a different Hideki today. There's so much purpose in what he's doing. He really feels comfortable.
You know, a good provisional shot, T-ball, a great break, a good putt. Maybe we can get Jon Rahm on that birdie train.
Nothing left to this. 7.5 feet straight up the hill.
Wow. Started there the whole time. He had a great putt. Just a cruel game sometimes.
Fowler has to put his mark back to the original spot.
I'll bet he remembers.
A 4 for Fowler. Remains at 8 under for the champion.
I think after watching Rickie up close like this, will be doing a little lift and then stroke. I think
I'm pretty sure there are kids like ages 8 to 15 all wearing Pumas who will be doing that very shortly.
Maybe Adam Scott should try the lift and stroke. You never know. We got to do something.
There's a 56-year-old out here that's contemplating it.
Well, let's go to number 5 as the 56-year-old climbs those stairs with these guys. And take a look at this par 4.
This is a straightaway ball striker's test. 498 yards. He's actually going to play a little longer right now because they're not going to have the aid of a trailing wind. Yesterday's hole played about even par, believe it or not. Today's hole location is cut a mere 5 steps over that big gaping front bunker. We saw Sergio play it around the bunker. This is viewers right. He brought it in from the right side of the screen, which is actually the golfer's left. He was in the left rough, played a beautiful shot that he rolled around the bunker into about 15 feet.
Hideki Matsuyama, Rickie Fowler in good spirits as they climb the stairs. And why not, right? Matsuyama 3 under on the round. Fowler 1 under.
Noticed he's sporting the white socks there. Hideki with the black pants. Might be a new trend.
Look, if you're playing with Rickie Fowler, you have to try to make a fashion statement.
You have to have white on somewhere.
You have to do something
tidy
to try to step up your game and say, you know what, I'm going to make a statement as well.
Well, they're making statements today. I am just almost aghast that a 500-yard par 4 is playing under par for the week. It's a ridiculous testament to the length and talent that this field has. That's 3.98. That's over 500 yards. So without the trailing wind, they actually can afford a cut. A cut would actually, for some of these guys, would end up just short of that 332. It's a little bit downhill.
I think effectively this fairway is larger this way, Mark.
That was kind of my point, Jay. If they mishit it or just played a little sawed-off cut, they'll end up short there. That ball's in the fairway.
Yep.
However, it'll be a little bit more blind. You know, they won't see the green. They might not even see the green from there. It's certainly going to be a longer shot.
One other thing to remember without that trailing wind, this front hole location is going to be so much more accessible.
Although they'll be coming in with more clubs, so let's give it a trade. I watched Justin Thomas hit a gap wedge in here, Jay, about 2 hours ago.
I'm sure the viewers are thinking, why do these guys keep, marveling at their length? If I wasn't standing here watching it, I wouldn't believe it.
It's funny. I think I marvel more at the 3-wood length than the driver length.
We were talking about that yesterday. He's set up for his power fade.
Took a hand off early.
That's a good miss. Right down the middle. I would like to make note also today, that tournament he won at Honda, that is one ball striker's test as well. That's a tough, tough golf course. Some of the toughest finishing holes on the PGA Tour, the Bear Trap.
I was just going to say, you've got to bring everything you got those last several holes.
So John's not set up for the big cut this time. And we're going to play the draw. See, I kind of like that.
Play the draw?
But I would. I'm kind
That's
of
big.
I'm kind of a hooker myself, so.
Brooksy's car doesn't take a right.
Hook 'em horns. Hook 'em horns.
My car doesn't take a right.
We are through 4 holes with this group of Fowler, Matsuyama, and Rahm. Second round of the 117th U.S. Open Championship. Download the official U.S. Open app to your mobile phone and follow U.S. Open action anytime and from anywhere. And if you have the app open, well, I hope you don't have it open right now if you're on the course, but if you were on the course and you were wondering where is the Fowler, Matsuyama, and Rahm group, well, you just put it on your phone, say Fowler, they tell you. They're on the 5th hole. And Rickie Fowler is in the fairway, even though he took his hand off the club almost right after impact. And Hideki Matsuyama, also in the fairway, has been on fire through the first 4 holes. His chip on the 2nd hole.
That's after he pounded a drive 340 yards, just short of the short par 4 second.
Chip on 3, and then on 4, the approach shot. And that led to his 3rd birdie.
And more importantly, he converted those beautiful shots. 2-putted the first hole as well after 2 really brilliant shots. Had about a 20-footer for eagle. He is 3 under the card through 4 holes, and he's got a blind second shot here at the par 4 5th.
No, it's not.
Rickie can use the tower, I'm sure, for a directional.
Rickie's got 204 yards, perfect lie on a little bit of an upslope. This is a 6-iron.
I would think he's going to take enough club to take that front bunker completely out of play. It's probably 198 yards to cover that.
Go.
That's what he did. That's the prudent play. And I promise you that came out of the middle of the face right there. That ball was smoked.
There haven't been many balls that he's hit through the first round or so that have not been hit in the center of the club.
I mean, when you get to watch somebody that's playing as flawlessly as he is, it's, even we can start picking up when he just barely mishits one. But I said yesterday, this game is, in general, it's about how good are your bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And and his bad ones have been pretty darn good.
Now Matsuyama from the right portion of the fairway, much more severe uphill lie, 182 yard 7-iron.
It's a pretty generous target here for these guys, Jay, width-wise.
It truly is. I mean,
but to get it close takes you have to take that bunker on.
Jon Rahm 164 9-iron, perfect, right down the center of the fairway.
He can see everything from there. And he will take on this flag. There aren't many flags he doesn't take on. That is right on the stack. There you go. That's
a good
back
tee
to back.
shot, followed by a good approach shot.
Stringing good swings together.
John's got two speeds, it looks like, tilt and full tilt. And that 9-iron was just absolutely covering that flagstick.
We're looking at that leaderboard, and obviously Rickie is leading at 8 under. There's a tie at 5 under for 5th. One of those players is Cameron Champ, an amateur, who just celebrated his birthday yesterday. He plays, Brooksy, cover your ears, at Texas A&M. But
can he transfer?
But what a way. I mean, you celebrate your birthday yesterday, and here you are. You've just played 2 rounds at your first U.S. Open, and you're 5 under par.
They don't make them like they used to. These kids come out ready to go. These junior programs, junior tournaments are phenomenal. It's a pleasant welcome here to the 5th green for these guys.
We've got a new co-leader as Brooks Koepka has joined Rickie Fowler atop the leaderboard at 8 under par. Koepka 3 under on his round so far today.
This is the first, there's a generation that's now playing on tour that grew up in their teens and early teens, not to age Tiger, but they grew up watching Tiger Woods. It's hard to even believe that it was 1996 when Tiger Woods joined the world of professional golf.
When he said, "Hello, world."
Hello, world. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Not far from here. Opened it with a little 320-yard drive right down the middle. But my point is, this whole generation, they watched the greatest player, one of the greatest, top, arguably on anyone's list, top few players of all time, play, and he played with a little different style and flair and confidence. And so you're seeing that. And these kids, of course, with video, a lot of great teachers, equipment's better, you name it. These kids, by the time they're like 12, they can play. Mm-hmm. They can play 7,000-yard golf courses. So we got one here that two of the 3 in this group would love to have simple 2 putts and walk away.
Just over 40 feet for Hideki. This ball's going to move almost 5 feet from his right to left, down the hill.
But the break is distinct enough that they can see it here. This is not a tough one to read. Just make sure you get the speed right.
It's a good putt.
Jay, you know, when it's the subtle breaks or where a green is just all one slope, it's sort of then hard to figure out how much it's going to break. But sometimes these bowls and little valleys that they've created on a lot of these greens, they actually make it pretty easy to see how to feed it down into to exactly where the holes cut each day.
Yes, you're exactly right. And I mean, Rickie's got this same effect. He's got to pick a line high, and he's got to choose a speed and match that up and try to get this thing to just roll into this cup. He's got about 34 feet. Similar movement from right to left.
And it helps. He just got to watch one roll down there, I promise you. It's okay. Ran out a little bit. Surprised him, too.
It's hard to believe about this time last year, a little earlier, maybe a month earlier, Jon Rahm was playing in the NCAA championship. And now he's number 10 in the world.
It's hard to believe an Aggie amateur. He's in the top 5 of the U.S. Open. But I'm proud of him.
Great young players everywhere. Now, John's got about an 18-foot putt, almost 2 feet of break from right to left. Not quite as downhill as Hideki and Rickie's putts, however.
To get the shot back, he gave up at the first hole.
Boy, just a little more speed. I think he had it.
But that was a good putt, too.
It was, but he's kind of in that Bubba zone. I mean, not to compare the two other than their score. He needs things to happen.
But it seems like it's starting to turn the corner with his swings and the ball that he's put a few together.
He has. I mean, we're going to count the provisional, so that's three good swings in a row.
Fowler, just for his third straight par.
Just make sure every time. There you go.
Matsuyama. So 3 pars here on the 5th hole. And the players will make their way to their first par 3 on the front 9, the 6th hole. And guess what they get to do? Walk up another hill. Rickie, not today. I'm in the zone right now.
Well, let's take a peek over here at the 249-yard par 3/6. If you back it up 1 club length, we'll just call it 250. Par 3, today's hole, is located 38 steps on this green and 10 from the left. Back left. It actually runs away at the very back of this green. We've noticed that today. Players earlier with downwind were having trouble stopping it here. Mainly because the shot has to be carried some 225 yards to carry that false front. Earlier, it was a 5 and 6 iron for most players, believe it or not, downwind. They were carrying it 10 yards on the green, 12 yards on. It was chasing all the way through. The difference now is that you can probably carry it a little deeper into the green because your shot's not as downwind.
On the sand wedge, Rick.
Somewhere in the 230 range in the air, right down the middle of the green is the called shot. And ideally a little fade. I think the pace of play's been pretty steady both days. I think they're pretty much hitting their time par.
Tommy Fleetwood on the green here at 6.
You can see there's 3 coins there.
He's 5 under for the championship.
Go out on a limb and say that was for par. Saw a couple of nifty up and downs from over the green here this morning. Adam Scott almost pitched it in from back there.
How about Charlie Hoffman making a run here? He's 4 under on the day, 6 under for the championship.
Charlie Hoffman's been playing really solid golf now for an extended period of time.
He's playing great at Augusta.
Got a haircut. Paid dividends.
Bud Cauley.
There's just so many players that are, you know, 320-footers made away from being household names at the right time. It's amazing. There's an inordinate amount of talent floating around in professional golf right now of the guys that are, you know, let's go down to 18 to 25. It's phenomenal.
Brian Harmon +1 on the round today. 4 under for the championship.
We don't have enough spots in professional golf to accommodate all this talent. I promise you, it's actually a problem.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a problem, though. I'm telling you, there's not enough places for these kids to display their talents. We can't have just one great tour, you know, in this world. We need several that are open. I mean, if we're going to open our doors, we need to have some other doors open. These kids need to have a place to play. They don't have to play for $10 million every week, but it's got to be reasonable where they can make a living.
.249-yard 5-iron for Matsuyama. No wind whatsoever. It's getting warm out here.
I can't even relate to that. It's got to go 230. 230 in the air, Jay. Would be the perfect landing spot.
That's exactly where they're looking, just to carry that false front and have it roll softly back to that flagstick.
His go-to shot fits this requirement here.
This looks right on line, and this is a phenomenal,
wouldn't it be nice to have that as your go-to?
phenomenal shot.
That's your go-to.
On the most difficult hole on the course, he just made it look easy.
My dream shot is his go-to, except I'd have to hit 4 more clubs. That would be a 2 hybrid.
Kind of sounds like a nightmare. Rickie's got 249. He's also got a 5-iron. Matsuyama's just got a completely different demeanor today. It's great to see.
Well, it's great to see a shot right in front of you, too, because Rickie can produce that as well. Just a straight ball here, right up the gut of the green. Looks like he hung it a hair just from this angle. Yeah. Didn't quite catch it right in the screws.
All right, so that's the 5th one he's hit.
I mean, not perfect.
Right.
Driving range 5-iron. I think that was what Adam asked from John.
Yes, it is. It's a 5-iron for Rahm.
So we're about to find out what his stock 5-iron is. He's got that move going. He's got to get down. It's okay.
It's a good miss.
Good miss. So his missed stock 5-iron flies about 230.
Matsuyama looking at yet another birdie, potentially his 4th in the first 6 holes.
Like it's not even there, and your green starts somewhere else up there, and make it a simpler shot than it could be otherwise. Jon's got, looks like about 45 feet.
Yeah, that's right. And this ball's got to go from his right to left.
Choosing to leave the flag unattended since he's off the surface. Very well judged.
A tap in for a par.
So his miss hit was better than Rickie's in that case on that hole. They both miss hit their tee balls. You know, Hideki's father was an accomplished amateur in Japan. And has basically been his only teacher.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned it yesterday. These three players are all former world #1 amateurs. And like you said earlier, Mark, by the time these guys turn pro, they are ready to go. So much more advanced than the players in prior generations. Hideki's got about a 13-foot putt that's got to move from right to left. And what he's got to try to figure out is how much speed am I going to put on this to match up with the break. And I'm thinking maybe 2 cups right to left, slightly downhill. It is absolutely perfect out here, condition-wise.
This would be his 4th birdie in the first 6 holes. He's got 4 birdies in the first 6 holes of his second round. Hideki Matsuyama, the number 4 ranked player in the world, is now 2 under for the championship. And he just birdied the hardest hole on the course. You got to feel like you just picked up more than a shot on the rest of the field right there.
That's some good mojo going.
Now
well, he knows he picked up a shot on the field, but more importantly, he converted, you know, a great iron shot. Didn't go wasted.
Here's Rickie Fowler again trying to keep this bogey-free championship going.
Well, this is his longest par putt in 2 days. Could be a blessing in disguise, actually, if he missed it, to be honest with you. But he's going to disappoint me, and he's going to drain it.
What an up and down.
He's had enough monkeys off his back. I don't want him to think he's got to play 72 holes without a bogey. And sometimes you will. You get into that, you know, just kind of like I don't want to make a bogey. I had made one. So, and the next thing you know, you've opened it up and you start making birdies again. So he probably won't fall in that trap. That's for feeble-minded little people like me.
Well, he avoids the bogey. He saves par. Both he and Rahm with pars, Matsuyama with a birdie, and they go from a par 3 now to a par 5 at number 7.
Well, now that the wind is laid down considerably, this 578-yard par 5 7th hole is reachable by virtually everyone in this field. The drive is obvious between the bunker complexes. Anywhere else you could have problems. If it's hit solidly, most of the guys will have an opportunity now for the rest of the day, if the wind doesn't pick back up, to get their second shots up, near, around, even on this green. It's got a lot of slope from left to right. It's got the top tier. We're actually looking backwards now. The viewer's right. That's actually the high part of the green. And Today's hole location is actually 25 paces on, and it says 14, but it plays more like 8 or 9 off the right. So a lower right hole location today. Sometimes these numbers are a little deceiving because the green is on such an angle. This hole location is actually only about 10 or 12 paces over the right front.
You know, it's funny. I was just looking at the scorecards from yesterday, and the longest stretch that Rickie Fowler went without a birdie was 4 holes. He went 4 straight holes with pars. That stretch was 3, 4, 5, 6. He just went 3, 4, 5, 6 with pars.
Well, those happen to be the hardest holes as well. Okay, that so it coincides with the difficulty of the task that's been asked of you. But that's the toughest stretch. And eight's a brutal hole coming up here in a minute. But they've got just a little slight breeze left to right. It's only a few miles an hour. What I was going to say, one thing I'm most impressed with, just studying these players, Hideki and Jon Rahm, I love the fact that they're basically kind of self-taught. They have teachers, but it's teachers they grew up with. I know they're both really young, 22, 25, but they fix their own problems, which means they can take it with them a long time, and they don't have somebody else to blame. They take full responsibility for, getting their own games in shape, and I think it's fantastic.
Brooks Koepka has jumped out in front of Rickie Fowler as Koepka is 4 under on the round and now 9 under for the championship.
Hideki's gone down to 3-wood, as we talked about yesterday. That means you've gone down to a 290-yard shot opposed to that's at another zip code for 3-wood for me. He can still reach. The 18th hole probably, by the way, I'm jumping way ahead, but at 678 with no help,
yeah,
it is out of reach for most of the players.
Fowler also takes out the 3-wood.
They just do the math. It's about 560 yards, actually a little less than that, but 555 yards to the front of the green. Divide it in 2, that's a couple of 275s, 280, you're home. That's turned over a little bit too much. Not sure.
Looks to be potentially in a bunker.
Yes, he caught the front part of the second bunker. Ball's going to be sitting nicely. It's just going to make this a 3-shot hole, just like he played it yesterday.
I'm a little surprised at the 3-wood, but
Well, don't worry.
that's his game plan.
Rahm's got the driver.
Well, he's set up for the cut again. They're making sure he cuts it this time. See, he's not doing it.
I'm so sick of this right now. So sick of this. Every t-shirt is way up.
Not much has to be added.
He wants to fix it.
He's taking your job.
That's okay.
He's giving his own analysis.
Well, I got news for him. He'll do a lot better financially if he stays out there. He can hit those pull hooks and still make a lot more than we can, my friend.
the par 5 7th hole here.
As aggressive as he chooses, probably as much as a 7-iron if he chooses to.
No reason to be overly aggressive here.
No question about it. He just wants to be playing that third from the fairway.
And that's what he will be doing. My guess from a number he likes.
Yeah, there aren't going to be many numbers he doesn't like today. He's even, I think, this week. Give me down there on that probably 8-9 iron range for his third. Hideki, after a brilliant 3-wood.
He's going after a pair of 3-woods, Mark. This is a 3-wood from 280 yards. Perfect lie, right on the top of the before the fairway. Trundles down another 20 or 30 yards that he may have used if he had a driver.
So he's only got about 255 to the front left, so he's got more than enough firepower to get this home.
And from the player's perspective, this green looks like it's 50 yards wide from left to right. Huge area to hit to.
Overcut. Actually, looks like he hit behind that. As we would say at home, nice layup. Nice layup, Hideki. Now, John's caught the lighter. This is the light stuff. He'll be able to rip it through here.
From 270 yards, I'm going to tell you, John's going to need to get checked for. He's been in this fescue so much. He's going to need to be checked for ticks when he gets off this round today. He is just all over the golf course.
Well, he said it on the tee. He's sick of it. He's sick of what he's doing with his tee shot. So I'm going to ask this question. He keeps on trying to play that fade, that cut. We saw him play a draw before.
No, he's trying to cut it.
Right.
And yeah, they're pretty classic double cross. He's trying to swing left, hit a cut, and he's actually set up open, dropping under. Club's clearly moving too far to the right. And a hit strikes it with a closed club face, and it produces a hook. It's face angle. I mean, he's, when it impacted, club face is left. No question.
Well, Rickie Fowler, a fan favorite wherever he goes. Smart guy. He's got his Packers bag here in Wisconsin. Green and yellow. Can't tell you how many times this week during practice rounds heard people say, "Like the bag, Rickie." AP Richards, I love watching at Rickie Fowler play. He has a different look in his eyes these days, and I love it. Hashtag featured groups. A look at those eyes. You even saw it when he was walking up to the tee when fans are holding out their hands to slap him 5. Not right now, not today. I bet you after the round, he'll sign, he'll do all this stuff, but right now, during the round, he's locked.
Jay?
Perfect lie, 128-yard wedge.
Should be a good number. Whoa, deep. They're used to playing this hole back into the wind last couple of days.
So really the last couple of holes, we've seen him a little bit of a blemish.
I think we talked about this before, but it has to stay. Just to stay current. His misses are still in the park. He's got the ball right in front of him, and the putts that he's had for par are really, really makeable. He can put some speed on them and putt them aggressively. Jon Rahm's got 81 yards. Just a tiny breath of wind from the left. It's a 60-degree wedge.
I'd like to see him turn it back up against the slope, the left to right slope here, and negate that slope. Don't play a cut. Makes it go down the hill more.
Spinning it back.
Looks like he tried to play a draw in there. That ball carried 15 yards too far. But they're worried about spinning it off the left of in our left side of our screen here. Down that ball could chase. We can see it from here. There's a better view. You get it spinning off the screen, it'll go 30 yards down the hill.
Speaking of missing the ball in a perfect position, Matsuyama now has 63 yards. No wind, slight uphill lie. This ball won't be outside of 5 feet.
Those fairways look like velvet. Just absolutely perfect.
I'm trying to figure out how to describe them. Carpets, velvet, I mean, they all work.
And that'll
Good
work.
call, Delson.
That'll work.
You know, it's funny, that picture that we just saw and you were describing the fairways, what I thought of was Augusta. I know it's different. I know it doesn't look like Augusta, but the fairways and that look, the way it's shaved so close, that's what I saw in my eyes.
Well, that right little splash right there will tell you they've been top dressing around here, and that helps keep these fairways absolutely pure. Verticut, top dress. It's like they're treated like greens. They're just mowed a little bit higher. It's the difference in Augusta is that Augusta, for the most part, has a Bermuda base. They have Bermuda actually underneath their, they overseed.
I just meant the look.
But it's grainy. This stuff is, don't get me wrong, and there's no knock at Augusta, but they mow their grain,
Right.
and they intentionally want grain, and it's part of the challenge of the golf course. But it's a little more moist, let's say, and grainy. And the guys feel like, you know, if they don't make perfect contact, a shot will feel fat real easily. And it will happen. This is a different type of grass that they have done a great job, and it naturally tends to grow more straight up. So it's like a hairbrush, you know, a little bristly hairbrush, and the ball loves to sit right on top. So it's another contributing factor to the scores. It's the condition. And what are you going to do? We want to go out there and chop it up? I mean, it's just perfect. Great greens. You can see how much grass is on these greens. And as you know, and I'm over talking, but a lot of opens are contested on Poana greens. Mm-hmm. And they just don't, they're wonderful surfaces at times, but they're just more inconsistent. The ball roll is not near as pure. So you give these guys these conditions, you turn the fan off, it's pretty hard to hide these flags. Nor should you try. This is actually his second test. Back to Rickie. We saw this from Adam Scott's eagle putt this morning. It's got a lot of break right to left and pretty quick.
From 50 feet, I will say that this is probably the worst shot that Rickie's hit in a day and a half, that wedge from the middle of the fairway.
Looks like he judged it pretty well.
And that might be one of the better ones.
Is that pretty
wow.
well? That was well judged.
Holy cow.
Come on, Rickie.
He birdied this hole yesterday. He birdies it again today with a 50-footer from just off the green. And he moves back into a tie for the lead with Brooks Koepka.
You see, he's almost embarrassed. He's been playing so solidly, it's like he can't even believe that he's almost, the way he's been playing, he was butchering this hole. And a deserved long putt. That's the shot, Rickie. But take it, Rickie.
That's awesome.
All right, John, there's a hole. And there's room in there for two.
Just over 21 feet.
Downhill cruiser. Just find your spot. Just cruise it right in there. Boy, what a great stroke. He's speaking Spanish right now.
He opened with a bogey since 6 straight pars.
Did you know he learned a little bit of English from rap songs? Learned that little tidbit.
So he must speak grammatically correct English.
That would be true.
For yet another birdie. It would be birdie number 5 in his first 7 holes for Hideki Matsuyama.
High percentage here. Attaboy.
5 under par on the round for Matsuyama. We saw 7 under by Fowler in the first round.
This tee.
And by the way, the front 9 is the more difficult 9. And Matsuyama has birdied 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. And for Fowler, yep, after a 50-foot putt for birdie, here you go, Joe. I don't know what else to do. That's great. The walk to 8, the par 4.
Well, here is the beautiful 487-yard par 4-8. It's a dogleg left. The fairway cants hard left to right, which is unusual. The players are choosing most of the time to fly it all the way to the bottom of the hill, which is about a 285, 290-yard carry. And they play their seconds slightly uphill. Normally they're in the 6 to 8 iron range to this what appears to be diabolical green, although these guys are making it look easy today. The whole location today is cut 8 yards on, basically front center. You can see there 34 birdies.
We are starting to get a little bit of wind from a completely new direction, east, maybe even east-southeast right now. Something that I'm sure the players haven't seen in their practice. It's not a significant amount of wind yet. It's maybe only 5 to 6 miles an hour. But it's something to pay attention to.
It's actually a nice breeze on this hole. Nice direction. They've been playing it with blowing left to right, which has made this tee shot, at least in our eyes, look more difficult. They're not making it look difficult. Right at that white hospitality tent is the perfect line.
Target right where you got it right.
I don't see
He's
much.
just striping it.
I don't see any panic in that. And I guess that's why. Although that was close to that high. I mean, that landed just a few steps. Perfect. Short iron. He's hunting down birdie number 6. Our co-leader, Rickie Fowler. Getting that grip right. As that ad says, grip looks good, Rickie. Good square setup this time. A little less fade. Perfect balance. He was a little more square there. Justin, that was almost a draw. And hammered.
Runs it past Matsuyama's. He runs it past him. I think it's going to be at least 20 yards.
Not only did the grip look good there, Rickie, as so did the swing.
And Rahm, who has just been struggling, and now you wonder, will he play a draw?
That's what he's set up for. Same setup he used at 5. If it turned over, it's going to be good.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say, hey, Jon, stick with the draw if you can.
You want Jay to go tell him?
Yeah.
Jay, why don't you go tell Jon that draw's working?
I'll get right on that, guys.
Maybe you could write a note and slip it into Adam's pocket.
All 3 of these guys have found the fairway here on the 8th hole. Tell you what, Fowler, Matsuyama. Golf courses, learn more about the USGA and all the work that's happening to make a lasting impact on the game. Visit usga.org today. The players are making their way down the fairway, and all of them have to walk a long way down the fairway because they bombed it out there. Matsuyama was the short hitter.
Absolutely perfect time to step on the 8th teeing ground. This wind has come up. The strength isn't as important as the direction, so it's blowing from the player's right and helping them get that ball, keep it in the fairway and not have to worry about shaping it around that corner.
You know, Hideki basically played a cutoff there, which is his go-to shot, and his ball actually landed in the rough. Slowed it down.
Look at the difference in rounds for Matsuyama. Greens in regulation, he was 50% in the first round. 6 of 7 today. And by the way, he only has 5 birdies.
He is absolutely stalking Aaron Hills right now. He is, I mean, it's almost like he replayed Rickie's round in his mind and said, I'm going to do exactly that tomorrow. 157 yards, perfect lie. This is a green light special. With what he's been through so far, this thing's going to be right in his wheelhouse.
You know, it's funny. He was leaning one way, like I didn't hit it right. So there's his miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think
22 feet. He's in the top 3, 4,
just be a little bit past it.
always top 5
Which one are you going? I'm just gonna choke
in
a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead.
proximity to the hole, which is a huge stat. Again, our co-leader.
140-yard pitching wedge, perfect lie. Just a breath of wind off the right.
Ideally, you'd keep it under the hole here. Looks like he left it out a little bit. They got to make sure they get over that front, because if they're short here, it will come back down the hill. So,
Just looking at Rickie, you can tell he's not happy with that one.
This is a pitching wedge for Jon Rahm, 135 yards. Perfect lie, level.
and he needs to get something going now. And that is right on it.
Mm-hmm.
But just a little deep. It didn't quite get deep enough to catch the slope. Right over the flag again.
Rahm bogeyed one, has parred every hole since. Matsuyama and Fowler. Rickie's got a couple of birdies on 2 and 7. A look back at Fowler's day. This was at 2. His first birdie of the day. Then at 6, the par-saving putt
Corneli White.
And then look at this for birdie at 7. And that was center cup.
That was. When you're going good, sometimes the good breaks seem to go your way. I just took a peek. I don't think the 3-overs are going to be playing golf tomorrow. This weather turned so nice that right now it's staying at 1 over.
Yeah.
So I looked at it for Jon. He needs to make some birdies. We'd suspect 2 over by the end of the day. He's got a shot, but he is several above the projected play line. It's amazing still to me how they routinely, that's why I was talking to Tom O'Toole earlier, that if I was, again, caddying or, maybe playing, I would quit looking at the yardage signs as I went to the tee. I mean, this hole's not playing like a traditional 487-yard hole. They just went driver 9-iron, driver pitching wedge, almost going to hit gap wedge. And I know they're really, really long, but the yardage, the distance is relative to the conditions, and what type of hole it is. And they hit so many of these downslopes here that they're sometimes one good swing with a driver, they turn what looks like a beast of a hole into a birdie hole or potential birdie, very, very makeable birdie hole. So I'm not saying distance is overrated, but in some cases it is.
A birdie attempt here for Fowler. We just saw.
Right about 31 feet. This ball's got to move from his right to left.
Is he putting back up the hill a little bit there, Jay?
He sure is, Mark. I was just going to get to that. And at about the 3 to 4, 5 foot mark, it'll start feeding from his right and start picking up a little bit of speed.
So it's not a scary downhiller.
Not at all.
He's been judging the pace so well for both days. As he did again. His speed control's just out of control.
An easy tap-in par. Remains at 9 under in the tie for the lead with Brooks Koepka.
But for the way he played yesterday, today I know it feels loose to Rickie. It looks a little loose to us. I know it feels a little loose to him. His shots are not as precise.
Well, it's tough to be what he did yesterday 2 days in a row.
There's no question about that.
Jon Rahm really needs to have a putt go in about a 26-footer down the hill with about 2.5 feet of right to left break. Not particularly fast, but he does have to pay attention.
He looks upset with that. It sounded like he said, "Hit it, Sean." But Jay, you said he had to be careful with his speed. I mean, he walks away with a 4.
He just has that disposition right now. It's hard to know if anything's really going to make him happy unless he holes something or holes a nice putt. Matsuyama's got right about 23 feet or so, and he got a great look at Rickie Fowler's line. There's no mystery in this putt at all.
This would be 3 straight birdies for Matsuyama.
That's looking good.
Matsuyama is on fire. 6 birdies in the first 8 holes. 4 under for the championship.
He's about to challenge Neil Lancaster's 9-hole scoring record there, Jay.
I just really don't know what to say. I mean, this man looks like the most purposeful golfer I've ever seen as compared to Rickie yesterday. He just looks like he can do whatever he wants with a golf ball and knocking putts in. It is really fun to watch.
Well, if he can dial in a little wedge over here at the 153-yard ninth, he'll have a putt at 29. It's not been done many times. Our buddy Neil Lancaster did it twice. For those of you who are not familiar with Neil Lancaster, here we are at the short par 3 ninth. Today's hole location is 29 steps on from the angle where this tee is. It says 7 steps from the left. I would contend that it plays more like 3 steps from the left. We watched Adam Scott this morning play a really nice looking shot just left of the hole that creeped into that back left bunker and was not at a good spot. You can see the circles and squares, that's birdies and bogeys on the scorecard for you at home, are dead tied. 49 apiece.
With this slight wind change, this is going to make this shot much more doable. This wind coming out of the east is going to help this ball land very, very softly as compared to that earlier when this shot was getting a little bit of helping wind.
So it's actually back in their face a little bit.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It's 153 yards. There are quite a few tee boxes to the left of tee locations, teeing grounds than they were yesterday. So they're on a different angle. Would you say, Jay, they're shooting more up the length of the green?
That's absolutely correct. This shot also plays 9 yards downhill, and Hideki's got a 9-iron. He's pulled a 9-iron.
That's a lot of club. So he's probably going to play some kind of little knockdown.
Can't go long, as we saw earlier.
We mentioned earlier how important it is to control that trajectory and therefore the spin, and I think that's what he's going for. Looking at his rehearsal swing, he looks as if he's looking to just take quite a bit off of it. And now here he and his caddy are going to converse.
This is probably one of the firmer greens. We noticed yesterday afternoon this green firmed up faster than basically any green on the golf course. I know they're just hitting a short iron down the hill, but
this young man's got so many gears. I mean, he could hit about half a dozen clubs on this green probably.
I'm sure it's about 4/5 of a 9-iron.
He did stay with the 9-iron.
By the way, that's 80%.
4/5. Okay, 3/4. That's his 28th stroke on this 9. Stay right there. And that's fine.
Yep.
It's going to creep down, but
And that was nowhere near 3/4. That was more like a half. I mean, he controlled his trajectory beautifully. That ball just leaked to the right on him a little bit, but he really controlled the distance
Did
well.
it stay? Hopefully that ball stayed.
Yeah, that ball is still on the surface, just about hole high, maybe 30 feet.
So we got an outside shot at 29.
And now Rickie Fowler.
Rickie's chosen the same club, 9-iron from 153.
Shots playing in the high 140s, I would guess.
In the hole! Rickie Fowler 2020.
That's another super, super, super smart shot. You can call it conservative. I call it brilliant.
I agree with you.
He really used the wind to his benefit there, guys. He threw that ball up in the air, and that ball, as you saw, that ball landed just like it had a parachute on it. Now here's Jon Rahm. He's got a 9-iron as well.
And he doesn't have any reason to play short. He needs to take advantage of every opportunity he has, and this would still be one of them. He's hit it right at the flag the last several holes. Just get one to come out of the sky the right yardage. That's hung out a little bit. We'll get to see what happens when they land there.
Watch it.
Well, I know he didn't want to be the guinea pig, but